Hi, and congratulations on the purchase of your brand new 2019 Nissan Rogue SV. This is a gorgeous vehicle. They've added some great features to this. I know you're going to love it. I know we did cover a lot during the delivery and it's an exciting time. So in case you missed anything or you simply want a refresher, we're going to go back through the features on your vehicle and make sure that everything is covered. At the end, if you still have any questions, please feel free to contact me via phone, text, email, or stop in. I'd love to see you again. Let's have a look at your new vehicle. So as we start at the center console, we see we've got a beautiful 7-inch touchscreen display. We've got our audio system up right now. Across the bottom I can see phone, AM, FM, satellite, Bluetooth, and USB. Now if I go into my sources for my audio, I've got a few more features in here. We still have our CD player up the top here. You've got Bluetooth and auxiliary down below as well. And once you connect your phone, you're either going to have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, depending on the type of phone that you have. So you have all kinds of sources for your audio. It gives you a ton of features that you have readily accessible. For the settings for your clock, we're going to go into settings and then clock and set manually. From here, you can go through, you can set the time, which we're going to increase by 1 minute. We've got the day of the month, and the year. So everything's easy to set. So if you're dealing with daylight savings time when the clocks change, simply come here, increase or decrease the hour by 1, press your back button a couple times, and you're out. Also, to set up your phone, you're going to go into settings, connections, and then you're going to add new. From there, you want to make sure that you're into the Bluetooth settings on your phone. You're going to look for the phone that says My Rogue. Once you hit that, you're going to confirm that the pin on your phone is the same as the pin on the screen, and that will connect. Allow any messages that pop up because it's going to load your address book, possibly your favorites. It's going to allow your phone to interact with the system. Now, if you do have an Android phone and you have a screen lock, so you need to enter a password or a pattern or some sort to unlock your phone, there is one additional step that you're going to need to do. In the settings, you're going to need to go down to screen lock, and then once you're into screen lock, you need to go to add trusted devices, and you're going to add My Rogue as a trusted device. If you do not do this, your phone is going to kick you back out of the system within the first 30 to 60 seconds of being connected because your screen is going to lock up. So make sure you do this if you have an Android phone and you have a screen lock on it. As we look here, satellite radio comes with this. It's going to be free for the first 3 months. After that, if you want it, you just call them and subscribe, and the number is right there on the screen. It's on the preview channel, which is channel 1. Your audio settings are right here under sound, so you can go through, set your bass, mid, and treble, your balance and fade. So your balance and fade is going to be left to right, front to back. We do have bass enhancer, which is on, and we have speed sensitivity volume, which we've got all the way up to account for that extra little bit of road noise or engine noise on the highway as you get up to speed. Our climate control is right down below here. We've got our fan and the button for our AC. We can determine where our airflow is going to be here, and we've got our heat over here as well as a max AC. During the summer, if you're going to have AC on, make sure you've got recycled air. Your rear defrost is also going to activate the heated side mirrors that you have. And down below, we've got an auxiliary port and a USB port. This USB port will also, aside from charge your phone, it's going to interact with the system. So if you've got an Android phone with the Android Auto app on it, it's going to launch Android Auto. If you've got an iPhone, it's going to launch Apple CarPlay. If you want to plug a thumb drive full of music in there, you can stream right from that as well, or any other device. If you simply want to charge, in the center console, there is an additional USB port strictly for charging them. And while we're here, we also see we've got our heated seats. You've got high and low functions for each of the heated seats. Next up, we're going to have a look at your driving console. All right, so we're going to have a look at the Android Auto here. To work the Android Auto, you need to connect via a USB cord down below here, right to your phone. You need to have the Android Auto app installed, which you can get from the Google Play Store. It is a free device, a free app. From here, once that we're connected, we can hit the button down here for directions. It launches Google Maps. Makes your car pretty much act like a navigation system at that point. Just be aware it is going to use a little bit of your data, but not much. To get back out of here, we can simply hit this button here. We can access our phone right from here. As it does disconnect your Bluetooth hands-free. And then over here we've got music. Give us a full list of any music that we want to listen to. Or we can head back out of the app right by this button here. So when I hit this and then press our button, it takes us back out of Android Auto. And that's as simple as Android Auto is. Alright, we're going to have a look at Apple CarPlay now. This is a little bit different than Android Auto. You don't need an app on your phone to work this. Once you connect your iPhone to the system, again using the cord to do so, this is the screen that pops up. So very much like the Android Auto, the biggest feature here that you're probably going to use is our maps. So with this, it's going to give you the same feel as a navigation system in the vehicle. It does use a little bit of data. It's not bad on your data, but please be aware that it does use that. And again, like the Android Auto, it disables the Bluetooth hands-free. So your phone, you still have the option here and you still answer it right from the steering wheel, but it is all through the cord on your phone for this. You've also got access to your music, any podcasts that you might have on here, audiobooks, messaging, and WhatsApp. And then that gives you a good view of the Apple CarPlay. So as we have a look at our steering wheel here, on the right side, I've got my cruise control. Now, a brand new feature in the 2019 SV is adaptive cruise control. This is a beautiful feature. So, when I set my cruise control, and my center display will show me the screen, if I turn it on, right away I see I've got my cruise and I've got a distance of 3 car lengths plus safe distance preset. That is the default. It's going to come up every time that you turn it on. If you want to reduce that distance, simply push this button over here with the car on it. You can drop it down to 2 car lengths plus safe distance or 1 car length plus safe distance, or back up. So that is your adaptive cruise control. If you just want normal cruise control, press and hold the button for a few seconds, and instead of the car up here, you've got a dial. We no longer have any distance markers because we're no longer in adaptive cruise control. The moment I turn it off and turn it back on, we're instantly back into adaptive cruise control. Once the cruise is on, you can set your speed. You can resume if you've had to knock the cruise off by tapping your brake or hitting cancel. You can increase the speed or decrease the speed that's set using those buttons as well. We do have our Bluetooth hands-free. So with that, this button here is going to answer a call or hang up. This button will allow you to make an outgoing call. Now, because of the hands-free message assistant, depending on the type of phone that you have and depending on how it was set up when it was connected to your vehicle, if you get a text message come through, it's going to pop up on the screen over here and tell you that you have a text message. It will give you the option to read it or ignore it. If you read it using the buttons here, it's going to read your message to you. It's also going to send a message back to whoever texted you instantly saying, "Can't text, driving, sent from my Rogue." So beautiful feature just to let people know that you are driving and you cannot text. As we move across the steering wheel, we've got our volume right here for our radio. These 2 buttons here are going to go through the presets on our radio. Now, if you're streaming through Bluetooth, USB, auxiliary, CD, it's going to skip tracks using these buttons here. Next up, we're going to look at the driver assist display. So we're going to start right here, and we're going to be using these buttons around the OK button here. The trip odometer is the first one that I'm looking at. If I look at the very bottom of the screen, it tells me the OK button is to reset. So we're going to look at that in just a moment. Now, beside trip, I see the number 1. If I press up or down, I get to trip 2. So we're going to go across to the next screen, which is our average fuel economy. And again, up or down will get me to the number 2. Now, if I change this to 2 and go back, we're on trip 2. If I change it back to 1 and go over, we're at trip 1, or at fuel economy 1. So by changing one, you change both screens. Now, if I press the OK button, I can reset just the screen that I'm on, or I can go down and I can reset all the screens. And in doing so, everything is reset. The next screen over shows what's going on with our radio. While you're on this screen, the OK button is going to change the source of your audio. So by pressing OK, I can go from FM to satellite to Bluetooth to auxiliary to AM back to FM. If you have a USB device in, that becomes an option. Same as for CD, that would become an option as well. This, as we saw, is for our adaptive cruise control. This screen here is for your safety shield. So you have a plethora of options available on this. You've got automatic emergency braking in the front, and the way that that's going to work is if somebody hits the brakes on the vehicle in front of you and you're closing that gap really quick, inside the Rogue it's going to beep at you and the gas pedal is going to push back against your foot a little bit. If you don't react fast enough at that point, the beeping will get louder and faster, and if necessary it's going to start to apply the brakes to help avoid or minimize an oncoming collision. You also have pedestrian detection in this vehicle. So there is a camera up behind our rear view mirror in the windshield, and it's going to act the same way. If somebody walks out in front of you, if you're doing 30 kilometers or less inside the vehicle, it's going to beep at you. The beeping will get louder and faster, and if necessary, it'll hit the brakes. It's designed to help avoid hitting the person who has just walked out in front of you, or at least minimize the impact, depending on how close they are when they walk out. You also have blind spot indicators, which are right here. With the blind spot indicators, if you have a vehicle in your blind spot, on the screen here you are going to get visual cues. However, with your blind spot indicator up here or on the other side over there, if you have a vehicle in your blind spot, regardless of which side it's on, whether you're passing it or it's passing you, that indicator is going to light up and stay lit up a dull orange. And as long as that's on, if I signal the same direction, so for example, if this indicator is lit up a dull orange and I signal to go left, then at that point, that indicator is going to start flashing and it's going to beep at me inside the vehicle a couple times to let me know I do have a vehicle in my blind spot. So that is our safety shield. The other part of the safety shield, and there is a button for it down here, we're going to turn this on. And we see up on the screen here, this is for your lane drift detection and intervention. So if you start drifting out of your lane, it is going to beep at you inside the vehicle. It's going to flash on here, and if necessary, it will tap the brakes a little bit just to pull you back in. This screen here is going to show your tire pressure. So once you start driving, all four wheels individually will show up. Once they do, you can monitor the pressure of each wheel. Now, if you get a low tire warning, it's going to pop up with a warning and tell you low tire pressure. It's going to tell you exactly which tire is low and what the exact pressure is. From there, when you go to put air in the tire, simply start putting air in. Don't worry about the pressure, don't worry about the gauge. When you get to the right pressure, the horn is going to beep to tell you you're done. If you were to continue to put air in after that, or for some reason you ended up at the wrong tire, when you hit the upper limit, the horn is going to beep 3 times in a row. You really do need to stop at that point because you risk ruining your tire otherwise. Our next screen here is going to show me if I'm in front wheel drive or all wheel drive. So because it's an intuitive all wheel drive, as you start to pull away, it's going to be an all wheel drive. You'll have a 50-50 split of power between your front and back wheels. Once you get going, it's going to drop down to front wheel drive. Now, if you need additional power, like on a hill, or if you hit traction conditions, hydroplaning, slippery roads, loose gravel, anything that causes the front wheels to slip, you instantly go into all-wheel drive, and you'll see the percentage on the power that it gets separated. Our second last screen here is for our warnings. So if you have a warning of any type, you can come back to this screen to review it. So I'm going to show you an example. If I open the door here, I have a warning that pops up. It tells me I have a door that's open and I have a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark. I can simply push the OK button to clear the warning. Later on, if I want to come back and review the warning because I don't remember what it's for, I can come back to the warning screen. It tells me warning 1 of 1. I have a door that's now fully shut. It will pop up for numerous different things, but this is how you come back and review it. And to clear the warning, simply fix the issue. So in this case, close the door. If it's low wiper fluid, add wiper fluid, and so on. The final screen over here is our settings. So there's a couple things I want you to be aware of in here. The first thing that I typically do setting-wise, by default, Nissan vehicles will automatically unlock the doors when you turn the vehicle off. Most people prefer to have it so that when you shift into park, it unlocks the vehicle. So if I go into the vehicle settings and then down to locking and auto door unlock, I have this set so that the moment I shift into park, it's automatically going to unlock. Once I press OK on that, it takes me back. I'm going to go back one more screen and then I'm going to go into wipers. I turn on my speed dependent wipers so that as I get going faster, my wipers will compensate for that as well. But the final thing here is I turn on reverse link. So what happens here? If I have my front wipers on, whether they're on regular or intermittent or high speed, the moment I shift into reverse to back up, even though my back wipers are not on, it's still going to make a swipe of that back window so that it will clear the window off for you. This is a beautiful feature that makes your window a little easier to clear off so that you don't have to remember to turn on that rear wiper. Once those are on, I'm going to back out of there, and that is all of the driver assist display settings. Now I've got my lights set to auto. Now a really neat feature with this is even though it's not dark enough out to warrant my wipers being on, if I turn my wipers on, intermittent or regular, there's 2 passes, 3 passes. On the 4th pass, on comes my lights. So this is a safety feature. Now if I turn them back out because it's bright, it's going to go back off. But because my wipers are on and they've made 4 passes on the windshield, the lights come on, providing it's set to auto. I also have my fog lights here. Over here I've got my wipers. So once up is mist, once down is intermittent. From there I can set the speed of the intermittent using this dial. The next one down is regular and the final one is high speed. Out on the end, I've got my rear wiper. So one notch is intermittent, the next notch is just regular. To clean my front windshield, I'm going to pull this towards me. That's going to push the water towards the windshield and give it a few swipes. You do have what's called drip wipe. So after it makes the 3 or 4 swipes on the window, it's going to wait a couple seconds and then make one more additional swipe in case you have any drips running down the windshield. To clear your back window, you're going to push it towards the dash. It works the exact same way. Over here we've got the brightness for our dash, as we see there. Now this trip reset button, our odometer down below says 15 kilometers. If I press trip reset, I find out I have another trip odometer. There's actually 4 trip odometers on this vehicle. Trip 1, Trip 2, Trip A, and Trip B. To reset Trip A, I simply press and hold the trip reset, press it once more to get to Trip B, and once more to get back to my odometer. Down on the bottom, this button will turn off my traction control. Now because you're driving an all-wheel drive vehicle, I highly recommend just leaving this button alone. This will turn off the sounds and the features for my lane departure intervention. So the intervention and the warning, this is the button that controls this. I recommend leaving it on. Just remember, if you're going to intentionally cross from one lane to another, make sure you signal, otherwise it's going to beep at you. We have our fuel tank release here, which is on the passenger side of the vehicle. We have a lock for our all-wheel drive. So with the lock, the way that this works is it's going to lock you in to all-wheel drive and stay locked in up to 40 kilometers per hour. Once you get above 40, the lock is going to come off and it's going to drop down to front-wheel drive. However, as we've already talked about in the past, it is going to kick in the all-wheel drive as needed under any traction conditions or power conditions up to 145 kilometers per hour. We have a sport mode and eco mode. Now if I push sport and watch my park indicator, it says sport underneath in brown. Sport mode is going to change how your motor reacts. You're going to rev a little higher on your RPMs, but you're going to have a little more torque. So if you need to get out and around somebody in a hurry because you're running out of a passing lane, pressing the sport is going to give you that little bit of extra power that you need to get going in a hurry. Don't forget to turn it back off though. Sport mode is a little bit harder on gas. Now the other button down here is eco mode. Now if I push that, I go from sport to eco in green. Eco is going to do the exact opposite. It's going to tune your motor down a little bit. The only time that you're really going to notice this, so be aware, is trying to get out and around somebody in a hurry or pulling away from a dead stop. It may feel a little bit sluggish compared to normal mode. Normal mode is when both of them are off and looks like this. So there you have it. That's all the features on your brand new vehicle. I know it's a lot to absorb. feel free to go through the video a couple times. Also, I do encourage you, if you do have any questions at all, please call, text, or email, or stop in. I'm more than happy to answer your questions for you at any time. I look forward to seeing you again when it's time for your next purchase, and hopefully anytime that you come in for service.